we have so much to mourn as Black folks, as Black women, centuries of mourning. I think about how enslavement has affected my life personally, you know? First of all, the fact that I'm even walking this land, right? This strange land. But then also like the disconnect that I feel from my own roots, like my own. Be clear, Black people have a culture, so I'm trying to tread lightly with this conversation. But there are some pieces that we had to mend together. You know, we did the best with scraps, you know, the best with remembrance. And I still believe that even we might not be aware, but we still carry on tradition that has come from, you know, Western Africa and beyond. You feel me? But like, there is a sorrow that I have that a lot of my foundation for myself, because I don't have that connection with those ancestors from home. Y'all know what I mean when I say home? Like, there's some part of me that is missing too. There are some languages that I won't know. There are some stories that I'll never hear. You know what I mean? When you think about that sorrow, that trauma, you feel me? And I'm grateful for my family and for the Black folks around me. And I'm not trying to say this to erase the Black American experience, because it is very unique. However, there are parts of me that feel that I feel reaching to connect, reaching to come back into contact with, come back into communion with, that I may never know on this side of heaven. You know what I'm saying? This side of this experience. And I mourn those spaces in me. I mourn those places in me. I feel like a lot of my experience in my own life has been me making do, making the best with what I have. You know, trying to do the best with what I have, like trying to, in a very inaccessible world, in a very oppressive world, like you're still trying to do the best with what you have and honor and be grateful for what you have, right? And in that gratitude that we're expected to have, it's almost at the expense of the truth of our real feelings, and it erases how complex the situation and this feeling is, this being is, right? And I don't think it's necessarily just with Black folks, but I think there is this forced happiness, this forced, like this toxic positivity. Like, if you just put your mind to it, it'll all be better. And it's like, no, let's really talk about the pain and harm and trauma that we've experienced. So we have centuries of things to mourn. Stories from hearing about my grandmother and how she would weep in secret. That suppressed pain, those suppressed tears, seeing my mother cry, you know, like there's so many. And even as I think about this, my eyes start to well up, because when I'm mourning, I'm not just mourning for me. When I am feeling, I'm not just feeling for me. When I am giving myself space and time to be angry and upset and sad, right? It's not just for me. And I have the privilege of being able to weep and to mourn and to feel and to emote in ways that my ancestors did not. And I will not withhold this emotion. I will not withhold this emotion any longer for the sake and the comfort of other people who don't mean me any good anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, my tears matter. My anger matters. My words matter. You feel me? Like, they are sacred and holy, just like everybody else's is. And there has been a denial of our sanctity and our holiness for the comfort and sake of other people. And I don't like that. And so when I'm doing this work, when I'm being sensitive, when I am making room for all of my emotions, like when people want to use sensitivity as an insult or using emotionalism as an insult, I see that I'm doing my job. It shows me that I am doing my job. I am becoming human. Unapologetically. I am allowing myself space to weep, to mourn, to express, like I said, to emote, in ways like, again, like my ancestors could not. And so when you call me emotional or sensitive, it is not an insult. It is not an insult. It's not like it's something sacred and beautiful. And just because you can't see how sacred it is and how beautiful it is, don't mean I got to shut up and be quiet to make you comfortable. Because that's not how this works. You know what I'm saying? That's not how this works. Yeah. It's like there's so much there. There's so much to feel and to express. And like I said, it's all holy and it's all sacred. And you got me messed up if you think that I'm going to be ashamed of that, or if I'm going to hold that back any longer. Again, my ancestors, a lot of them died from heart disease. From heart disease. And I imagine, like, the weight, again, the stress, the strain of their daily lives, living in poverty, you know, like struggling to make ends meet, being a Black person, existing in, you know, an oppressive society, but also like the feelings and the emotions that they could not express, that they may not have had the language for, or the safety to express, or this toxic masculinity that said, you know, you don't cry, you don't want to see, you know, don't let them see you sweat, or this, you know, survival tactics that they use, because you showing weakness, right? There was something really to fear there. Like, there's so many layers to this. There was something to fear there. If there was any sign of weakness, you were seen as prey. You were an easy target. And so I honor that about my ancestors, but I also understand, because of that fear, there is so much backed up in me, in my body. It makes sense why I'm so sensitive, why I'm so emotional. It makes sense, you know, and I see this as an honor to be able to weep, to be able to process emotion, to give language to stuff that there wasn't language for back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, I understand how holy my tears are. And I spent so many years, so much of my life being ashamed of that, being ashamed of being so sensitive and not being able to, like, I'm so sensitive I can't watch violent movies. I can't, like, it's not entertaining to me. It's not funny. Like, seeing people harmed is not funny to me. It's not entertainment. I've tried. I cannot be desensitized to harm. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I, like, I have a problem even with horror movies, right? I can't distinguish reality from fiction. And so stuff like that, it sits with me for a long time. Like, after watching a horror movie, I'm scared. And, you know, I think that there is something to entertainment. I think that's fine. But I also think that a lot of stuff that we think is normal is not. A lot of stuff that we're comfortable with watching or seeing is not. Like, I can't even watch boxing matches. I can't watch people tear people apart for the entertainment of other people, to make other people money. Like, I'm grieved. I am grieved by a lot, by society. And I think for sensitive people, it's hard, because it's like, you know, you don't want to seem like you're trying to ruin the fun. You don't want to seem like you're crazy or whatever the heck people want to call you, or just like unhinged. But like, I can't honor the people who came before me by denying my tears, by denying my emotions and my sensitivities. And I really feel like, this might not be the case, but I feel like my being, through my being, I'm able to mourn for people who are not here anymore. I'm able to express the things that maybe my great grandma could not express to me. Like, just when I sit and I think about all the things they knew, all the things they experienced. My great grandma was born 1912. All the things she's seen that she never told me about. You know what I'm saying? All the things she's seen that she never told me about. I think about, like, how much pain she probably carried with her. Whew. But she showed up smiling. And that's what people do, right? We find Black joy in those spaces, in those tender spaces, in those tender moments. When I go back home, when my mom's family's from Philly, when we go back home and there's a funeral or something, like, there's going to be laughter. There's going to be laughter, but at the funeral, I see my uncles cry and weep in ways that I've never seen before. And it makes me wonder, did they use this as a safe space for them to be able to mourn? And I think about, I want to be a safe space for myself to mourn and to weep. And I want to create safe spaces for people to feel their feelings and to process things that are hard and complicated and work through it together. And, you know, and I think about the people who make me up, the people I am made up of, my father, my mother, their parents, their grandparents, their aunts and uncles, and all this other stuff. And their DNA, their blood is flowing through me. And I think about how me giving myself permission to weep is like healing for them too. Being that I have their DNA just on a scientific level, like we pass down the trauma, you know what I'm saying? And I have to weep. Like my life depends on it, because it does. I have to feel, I have to emote, or else I'm not going to live. I have tried the suppression method. It left me depressed, self-harming, medicating with alcohol and horrible relationships and so desperate and clinging on to people like for dear life. And it's like, I have to be that space for myself to be safe first. And I think I'm realizing like just now that I never really was, you know what I mean? And I'm weeping, but it's healthy. Like, you don't have to feel sorry for me or feel bad for me. I'm weeping because I need to, and it feels good. And this is not where I wanted to go with this entry or this thought, but it's just like, there's so many years of silent pain that we carry in our bodies, and to further suppress and further push down is doing your ancestors a disservice, but also you, and also the people that we are in community with right now, and the people that come after us. Our ancestor did the best we could. We did the best we could with what we had. And nobody came to save us. And I get that feeling, like you want to be seen and heard and validated. And I want those same things, you know, which is why I feel like therapy is good, and having good community is good, and having good family around you and friends, you know, and even online, seeking community online has been very helpful. Hearing people tell their stories, and it feels like, me too. Okay, I'm not alone in this thing. Like the solidarity we feel. Thank God for the internet and other spaces where we commune together in honest and authentic ways. But we have to validate and see ourselves, and see our feelings, and see what's behind those feelings. And it's uncomfortable. It takes work. It is a labor of love in a lot of ways, but it is necessary for you to live a full life. And I hear you and I feel you if you feel like if you don't have the safe space, you know, to weep and to mourn. Get a journal, video record yourself, like be in community with yourself, be in community with God. There are times when I'm walking and praying to God, I'm just crying. I'm just crying and I don't have words for the pain I feel, or for whatever I feel, for the words I don't have. And I know that God hears me. And I know that I hear myself. And because I hear myself, I am valid. I'm valid even before I admit it to myself, right? But it is something to validate yourself. To not look to other people to validate you first. You know what I mean? So anyway, cry and weep. If you feel tender, be soft, be sensitive. That's how you save your life. That's how coming from a person who did not want to live all the time, me admitting my feelings and feeling my feelings saved my life. Saved my life. You know, me rehashing things as much as I need to saved my life. Me being in community with other people who get it, who see me, saved my life. Me hearing the stories of other Black women who have gone through similar situations have saved my life. It gave me hope. Whew, it gave me hope. And so I implore you, the things that you feel ashamed about, the things that you feel embarrassed about, admit them to yourselves to free yourself, to even heal your lineage, heal the trauma that's within you. But I promise you that that shame that you feel, one, is not yours. It doesn't come from you. And those things that you feel ashamed about can be medicinal for somebody else, can be healing for somebody else, can help someone else be seen. And I'm just grateful. I'm filled with gratitude for the people who are brave enough to share their journey, who are bold enough to share their journey with us people they don't know on the internet. And because you all are helping me heal too, and I'm grateful for you. I thank you for seeing yourself and for allowing yourself to be seen. That's no small feat. Vulnerability is something that is missing. You know, even authenticity has been co-opted and capitalized on. Like, it's just so annoying. Capitalism ruins everything. So everybody's trying to be authentic, but they're not being real. You know what I'm saying? And you can feel it. You can feel when someone is trying to be authentic, but even trying to be authentic is still protecting them from true vulnerability. And I don't think that we should be vulnerable with everybody, because everybody ain't safe, right? Everybody doesn't mean us well. But finding those safe places to be vulnerable are important. All right, that was a lot. But either way, feel your feelings. Feel your feelings. That emotional rest we talk about. It's exhausting carrying around emotions and not expressing them. It takes up space. It takes up mental space. It wears on our body. It wears us thin. It makes us sick. It makes us embittered. It makes us cruel and unkind to ourselves and then to other people, right? It makes us, it turns us into these crooked versions of ourselves. But our emotions are sacred and are holy. It is a white supremacist lie that we should not be emotional or in touch with our emotions, or that emotions are somehow weak. Being emotional is one of the strongest things you can do. Like, it's white supremacy. It literally is white supremacy. There's no other word for it. It is oppressive to tell someone that they can't feel their feelings, or that their feelings are invalid, or that they are weak for somehow feeling and weeping and crying. And because we have been put here in this situation, historically, we have not had a safe container for our emotions. Everything Black folks did had to be done in secret. Everything. Communicating through song, quilts, stories, right? Language barriers being put up. Because we're not even going to talk about literacy. That's a whole other thing, this whole idea of literacy. But like, barriers being put up to access language, to keep us out. Everything had to be done on the fringes and in secret and in quiet, including our weeping and our tears and our ability to be human. Our ability to be human, you know? It's time out for that. It served its purpose because we had to survive, right? But when they can disconnect us from our emotions, they can disconnect us from truth. They can disconnect us from justice, from collaboration, from like working together for the benefit of all folks. When they can tell us that we should be ashamed of our emotions, we become ashamed of ourselves because we're emotional creatures, because we're human. And so we think that we're not good enough. We think that we're somehow flawed because a poem makes us cry, or a song makes us cry, or how someone treats us makes us angry. How we're seeing people being treated makes us angry. But the masses are telling us that we're all crazy, so we don't speak up and speak out. Listen, I'm all over the place, and that's a part of being human. So those who get it, I hope that you resonate with this. I am going to go to Target to walk around a little bit, get some things I need. But I hope what I'm saying is making sense. Weep, cry, feel, be sensitive in safe spaces, in places that are safe. But allow yourself to be a safe place. I'm sure there are years of tears I need to cry. I'm about to go on a retreat for myself, and there are just things I just need to cry out, to scream out, to write out. Things I don't even have words for, right? Which is why art is important. I put out a whole musical project of just like my vocal sounds. Like, sometimes I don't have the words for it, but I have the expressions of it. I have, the drawing, the writing, the scribbling, the screaming, the crying, the dancing, the stretching, the sleeping, right? All of that. Trying to get this energy moving from out of my bones, get that energy moving from out of my DNA into a safe space, into a safe container, whatever that looks like. But I hope that you are a safe space, a holy and sacred space for yourself. Okay. I love you. I'm going to go now. Hope you have a beautiful day. Later.